Standing by the window where morning light flooded in, Jennifer Clark sipped her coffee in her snug Boston suburb apartment. Her eyes carried life's weariness, yet her face kept a quiet gentleness. When she smiled, a youthful glimmer returned. "Mom, I can't get my tie right." Tyler's voice rang from the living room. The 8-year-old fumbled with the red tie draped over his neck, fingers hopelessly knotted. Jennifer chuckled softly as she knelt before him. "It's tricky, huh? Don't sweat it, I've got this." Her hands worked swiftly on the tie while her stomach twisted at the day ahead. Caroline's wedding. The last place she wanted to be. Jennifer had been slinging coffee at the local Maple Diner for over a decade. Brutal shifts from open to close, pathetic tips, and cranky regulars. Yet she never whined, grinding non-stop to provide for her boy. 3 years ago, Jennifer's life imploded when she caught her husband Michael fooling around with his young secretary. Michael was crushing it as some hotshot sales exec, climbing the corporate ladder like nobody's business. To him, a washed-up waitress wife didn't suit his high-flying image anymore. "We're done," he dropped on her. Jennifer didn't even blink that day. Just gave a quiet nod, signed whatever they shoved at her, and hauled 5-year-old Tyler back to her folks' place. That was her dignity right there. "Tyler, today's a special day. It's your aunt's wedding, so we gotta be extra polite." Her boy was clever and sensitive. He'd picked up on how Michael's family, especially his ex-mother-in-law Beverly and sister-in-law Caroline, acted toward his mom. "Grandma Beverly and Aunt Caroline don't like you much, do they, Mom?" Jennifer looked her son straight in the eye, not wanting to lie. "Adult things are complicated, Tyler. They're from a different world than we are. But blood's still blood." Even as she said it, Jennifer remembered Caroline's cruel words. Every time someone called her just a waitress, it stung a little. Caroline always acted like she was above her, some hotshot college grad engaged to James, a professor. Today, she was throwing some over-the-top wedding at a fancy hotel. Beverly, her mother-in-law, was worse. Obsessed with status, she never forgave Michael for marrying beneath him. After the divorce, she didn't even bother hiding her disgust for Jennifer. Strangest part. She barely acknowledged Tyler, like he was some embarrassing reminder. As Jennifer straightened his suit, she thought about that wedding invite. Thick cardstock, gold foil, all for show. She was about to refuse, but when Tyler said, "I need to see Dad," she gave in for her boy. She couldn't know how much this day would change things. For her, for Tyler, even for her ex's family. "All right, Tyler. Let's go." Jennifer drew a slow breath and adjusted her simple blue dress. She'd picked something quiet, hoping not to draw attention. Funny how that only made her glow more. At the door, she squeezed her son's shoulders and whispered, "Whatever happens today, we're still family. Don't ever forget that." Tyler lifted his chin and nodded hard. Jennifer and Tyler stepped out of the taxi outside Boston's Grand Harborview Hotel and hesitated. They climbed the marble staircase, passed through the chandelier-lit lobby, and spotted the wedding reception desk. Mrs. Clark, the receptionist, checked the guest list and frowned. Her eyes flicked back and forth between the paper and their faces. "Just one moment," she said before calling over another staff member for a quiet discussion. Jennifer's stomach tightened. She squeezed Tyler's hand and scanned the room. Gleaming decor, flawless floral arrangements, guests laughing with champagne flutes in hand. This wasn't her world at all. "Let me show you to your seats." The staff member smiled, though she seemed uncomfortable. They were led into a spacious hall with floor-to-ceiling windows framing a stunning view of Boston Bay. As they neared their seats, Tyler suddenly stopped. "Mom, what is this?" While other tables had placards reading Clark family or Harris family, Jennifer's place alone was marked single mother waitress. Tyler's seat simply said single mother's child. Jennifer's face went white. She wanted to bolt immediately but hesitated when she saw Tyler's expression. Confused, caught between anger and humiliation. "It's all right, Tyler. Just a dumb joke." She faked a smile, flipped the card and sat back down. The room kept filling up. Women in glittery dresses, men in sleek suits. Then Beverly walked in. She wore a gorgeous silver-gray dress with real pearls sparkling at her throat and ears. "Oh, Jennifer. You're here." Beverly's voice held surprise with a touch of annoyance. She almost walked right by Tyler to say hi to another guest. The organ's solemn notes filled the air, and everyone stood. At the far end of the aisle, James stepped out in a white tuxedo. Michael trailed close behind. Jennifer's chest tightened. There was her ex-husband. First time in 3 years. He'd become even more successful. Then the music swelled, and Caroline entered on her father's arm. She glowed in a breathtaking wedding dress, her smile pure joy. The whole room sighed at her beauty. The ceremony moved along quietly. Vows swapping rings, then the kiss. The couple looked picture perfect. Jennifer held her smile for Tyler, masking her tangled emotions. The party started with champagne and snacks making the rounds. Tyler sipped orange juice while eyeing the room. Soon enough, the fancy meal began. "Mom, Dad's watching us," Tyler murmured. True enough, Michael kept looking over but stayed put. Then came the sharp chime of clinking glasses across the hall. Beverly stood up and took the mic. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming to celebrate my son's sister, my dear daughter Caroline's wedding." She spoke warmly about the newlyweds and their exciting future. Then suddenly, her eyes locked onto Jennifer. "We have an unexpected guest tonight. A former family member, Jennifer." All eyes in the room turned to Jennifer. She felt her face grow hot. She normally works as a waitress at a cafe. "So I've got a proposal." Beverly's voice dripped with nasty glee. "Jennifer, since you work as a server, why don't you take care of dinner tonight?" The place went totally silent. Jennifer froze in place. Humiliation and fury burned through her, but Tyler's presence held her back. "Beverly, even kidding, that's..." someone tried to say, but Beverly shut them down with a hand. "No joke. She knows what she's doing." Beverly's eyes turned icy. "She's on dinner duty tonight. Not just some used item." Her laugh lit up the whole room. One by one, family and friends joined the laughter. Even Caroline couldn't resist joining the fun. Michael forced a smile, though clearly uncomfortable. Jennifer felt hot tears building up. Her hands trembled and her throat tightened. She wanted to melt into the floor. Just as she rose to leave, the chair next to her scraped back. Tyler had silently stood up. When the 8-year-old boy walked in, the room's laughter faded away. Tyler had this weirdly calm, grown-up look on his face. He made his way toward the stage where the mic stood. "Tyler." Jennifer tried calling him back under her breath, but he kept going. Dead quiet now, Tyler faced the microphone. Small as he was, he scanned the crowd of adults. "Got something for the bride." His voice didn't even shake. "Truth is, she is." As those words filled the room, Caroline's smile disappeared. She turned white as a sheet and froze completely. James, the groom, looked at his fiancée with total confusion. Michael quickly stood up shouting, "Tyler, cut it out." But everyone was holding their breath for Tyler's next words. Tyler took a shaky breath. The pressure weighing down the little boy felt overwhelming, but his eyes never faltered. He adjusted the mic with one hand, shoved the other in his pocket, and glared at the adults around him. "Stop messing with my mom." Though small, Tyler's voice cut through the silence. All eyes were glued to him, barely breathing. Beverly turned white, and Caroline didn't move a muscle. James, the groom, looked around, totally confused. "Tyler, come here," Michael muttered to his son, but the boy didn't even flinch. "None of you get my mom," Tyler kept going. "She's up at 5 every single morning just to make my lunch. She goes over my homework before I even step out the door. And after being on her feet all day, she still tucks me in with a story." Jennifer stayed rooted to her seat, tears rolling down her cheeks. She didn't notice her son watching her so closely. "My mom never stopped smiling, even when she was exhausted. Nobody has the right to hurt her." Murmurs spread through the room. Beverly rushed over to Tyler. "Sweetie, today's special. I'll treat you to ice cream later. Let's save the serious stuff for another time, all right?" Tyler just shook his head at that. I caught Aunt Caroline and Dad talking. The whole place went quiet again after that. Caroline shot up and grabbed her groom's arm. "James, it's just a kid's fantasy. Get him out of here." James paused though, seeing Tyler's calm and Caroline's panic. He gently pulled the bride's hand off and sank back into his seat. 3 days ago when I ran the RSVP over to Aunt Caroline's, Dad's car was sitting outside. Tyler continued smoothly. "I was on my way to piano lessons, but I realized Mom had left an important letter behind, so I popped by Aunt Caroline's place." Michael and Caroline turned white. The door was slightly ajar and I caught them talking inside. I almost called out, but then I heard my name and just listened. Beverly tried to butt in again. What are you talking about? Today's a celebration. In a place like this, some kid's crazy tale. I have proof. At Tyler's words, Beverly shut up. The boy yanked a phone from his pocket. Jennifer had no idea when her son got a smartphone. Then it hit her, Michael's birthday present. I got it recorded. A gasp of surprise spread through the crowd. Michael tried to charge forward, but security held him back. Caroline's face drained of color as she stood stiff like a statue. Tyler tapped his phone and pressed it to the mic. First came rustling sounds, then a crisp female voice. Mike, I wanna see Jenny's stupid face. At the wedding, I'll write single mom waitress and shame her in front of everyone. The plan's flawless. Beverly's with us. It'll be the greatest wedding. Then came a man's voice, Michael's. Be careful. What if people realize you're pregnant with my kid? Our affair will be exposed. The place went wild. Jennifer couldn't believe it. Michael and her sister-in-law. And a baby. She covered her mouth with shaking hands. The tape kept rolling. Caroline's laugh. James has no clue yet. If I tell him after we're married, it'll be too late. I've timed it just right so he won't know it's our child. Then came even wilder revelations. Since you left that woman, you've become yourself again. We were always different. Michael's voice, but be careful. Don't say anything yet. Tyler turned off the phone and quietly put it in his pocket. The room fell completely silent. Groom James froze, his face pale. His family looked just as shocked. Caroline started crying, while Michael turned red with anger and shame. Beverly dropped into a chair, too stunned to speak. My mom works so hard to take care of me, Tyler spoke up again. His voice shook a little, but he didn't back down. Aunt Caroline, quit teaming up with my dad to pick on me. And you should come clean with the guy who was going to be my stepdad. The boy stared straight at the groom. I'm sorry, but you deserve to know the truth. The air in the place felt frozen and thick. James rose slowly, locking eyes with Caroline. His gaze burned with anger and sorrow. Tell me this isn't true, his voice cracked. Caroline pressed her palms to her face, her whole body shaking with sobs. It's not, Tyler's making it up. Just childish nonsense. She kept fighting the truth, but her breakdown gave her away. Beverly pulled herself together and stepped in to control the situation. Everyone, this is clearly just a misunderstanding. It's just an excited kid's imagination running wild. Don't let this nonsense ruin such a wonderful day. But James' father stood up and said firmly, Have we been tricked? Son, let's go. We need to rethink this marriage. The groom's family began rising from their seats. James gave Caroline a final look and asked, Was it true? Tell me now. She couldn't reply. Michael stood up instead. Enough, he said quietly. Let's be honest. The room went silent as Michael lowered his head. I have been with Caroline. And she's pregnant with my child. The place erupted instantly. James went white and nearly fell. His mother dashed to steady him. James' dad was furious and tried to go after Michael, but people nearby held him back. Tyler set the mic down and stepped off stage. He walked to his mother and placed his small hand over Jennifer's. I'm sorry, Mom. I just couldn't stand seeing them hurt you. Jennifer couldn't speak. She held her son close, pouring all her love into that little body. The chaos around them faded into distant noise. Her entire world narrowed down to this courageous boy. Caroline kept crying uncontrollably, now blaming Michael. Beverly was screaming at both her kids in a rage. Shouts of family shame. How could you do this? Filled the room. In the chaos, Jennifer took Tyler's hand and whispered, Let's go. They stood quietly and walked to the exit, heads held high. As they moved, a voice called out, Wait. Turning, they saw James staggering toward them. His face was pale, his eyes bloodshot. The man who should have been celebrating looked completely broken. Is it really true? He whispered to Tyler, low enough that nobody else could catch it. Tyler held James's gaze and nodded just a little. I'm not lying. The recording's real. James squeezed his eyes shut like it physically hurt. His whole face twisted with pain and that raw betrayal. Jennifer's heart went out to him. She knew exactly how that felt. Your boy's brave, James muttered, voice thin. Never thought a kid that small would stand up and say it straight to adults. He rested his hand on Tyler's shoulder and murmured, Thank you. Inside the venue, the commotion still raged. Caroline's weeping, Beverly's furious shouts, and bewildered guests' voices all mixed together. James. Caroline emerged from the venue. Her wedding gown was wrinkled and her once perfect makeup streaked with tears. She clutched James's arm and pleaded, "That's a lie. It's just a child's delusion. Please believe me." James eased his hand free. "Michael admitted it himself, didn't he? He's the father, isn't he?" His voice was icy. "That's not true. He's just confused." Caroline was panicked. "It's our wedding. We've been in love for 5 years. Don't ruin it over this." James shook his head and muttered, "I've loved you for 5 years. But you wrecked my trust. With your damn brother, no less." His voice cracked as he gasped for breath. "I need time alone." Then Michael stumbled in too. He looked like he'd barely escaped the chaos inside. His shirt was rumpled and his face twisted in pain. "Caroline, stop the lies," he said, voice ragged. "This is my fault. James, I'm sorry. This is on both of us." Beverly jumped in. She was furious with both her children now. "You've destroyed our family's good name. How could you do something this awful?" Beverly shot a look at Jennifer and Tyler. "You're no better. Dragging our private shame out in public." Jennifer remembered 3 years of shame and heartache. All the scorn and insults she'd suffered. And today, the last shame she tried to swallow for her boy. But it was finished now. She straightened up and said coolly, "You should be the ones burning with shame. Your son crossed the line with his sister, leaving her with child. To bury that sin, you tried to trap some poor soul in marriage. We only spoke the truth." Beverly stayed silent. Caroline was now a weeping wreck on the floor. "James, I'm begging you, don't go." The groom's father walked up and squeezed his son's shoulder. "Come on, son. We don't belong with these people." He looked at Jennifer and Tyler and dipped his head slightly. "Appreciate you telling us the truth." When James's family left, the groom just stood there facing Caroline, not budging. "So the baby's really Michael's?" he asked at last. Caroline couldn't speak through her tears. That silence told him everything. James slowly slid off his ring and laid it in front of her. "Goodbye, Caroline." His words hung heavy like a final goodbye. Then he turned and followed his family out. Michael moved beside Caroline and pulled her close. He looked at Jennifer for a second, then pressed his lips together like the words wouldn't come. His eyes swam with guilt. Beverly clutched her head, mumbling, "What do I do now? What happens next?" Her usual arrogance crumbled away, leaving just a shaky old woman. Jennifer squeezed Tyler's hand and whispered, "Let's get out of here. We don't have to stick around anymore." As they left the venue, James popped up in front of them again. He hesitated like he had something to say, then bowed low. "Your boy's brave. Thanks for telling me the truth. I was blind." His voice held both gratitude and sadness. Jennifer smiled gently. "Time heals all. May we both move forward." Outside, the evening breeze brushed against them. They slid into a taxi parked in front of the hotel, and Jennifer gave their address. "Sorry, it's a little far. That okay?" she asked the driver. The driver peeked at the mother and son in the back and smiled. "No problem, ma'am. Have a nice evening, you two." As the car rolled forward, Jennifer hugged her son close. "Tyler, you're my hero." Tyler pressed his face into his mom's chest and mumbled, "Was I bad?" Jennifer ran her fingers through his hair and shook her head. "No, you had the guts to be honest. That's never bad." But her stomach twisted with emotions. The gut punch of her ex and sister-in-law's affair, and their secret kid. Now it made sense why Michael turned ice-cold after the divorce and blew off Tyler. And the biggest fear, how this bomb would wreck their lives. Would Michael's family try to punish them? How's Tyler supposed to face his dad now? But tonight she decided to leave those worries behind. Now was the time to cheer for her son's courage and love. "Mom, I'm hungry," Tyler whispered. Jennifer laughed and kissed his cheek. "Right, we never got dinner there, did we? Let's pick up some burgers on the way home and eat them cozy at home." The taxi drove through the dark evening, mother and son leaning against each other quietly, heading toward something new and unknown. Tonight had changed their lives for good, but Jennifer believed it was for the better. "Tyler," she said gently, "from now on we'll face everything together. You really are an incredible kid." Tyler glanced at his mom and nodded a little. His eyes had a grown-up seriousness. Today he took charge of his own story. 3 months later, on a crisp autumn day, Jennifer smoothed out her new uniform at Maple Diner, studying her reflection. A deputy manager pin gleamed on her chest. "Nice work, Jenny." Her team crowded around with bouquets. "You really deserved this." From that moment, her life took unexpected turns. The restaurant owner, grateful for her years of loyalty and effort, had given her the deputy manager role. "I was amazed by your strength and patience," the owner said, lifting her spirits. Meanwhile, the drama at Caroline's wedding became the town's favorite gossip, and people's reactions were unexpected. Many stood by Jennifer and Tyler, applauding their bold choices. Caroline left town to avoid the embarrassment, starting over in a distant city. Ironically, she's now a single mom raising a child herself. The woman who once scorned Jennifer was now living the same struggles. Michael lost his job at the company, and his reputation crashed. He reached out to Jennifer a few times, begging for another chance, but she flat out refused, saying, "It's over. I'm moving on with my life." Beverly was cut off by the family and vanished from the social scene. Her son and daughter's secret relationship crushed her pride. One day, Jennifer got an apology letter from her. After wrestling with her feelings, she wrote back short and sweet, "I can move on, but that doesn't mean I forgive you." "Mom, look." Tyler came home from school waving a test paper. A+. Jennifer pulled her son into a hug. Tyler was proud of how his mom had changed. Now his friends saw her as a hero who stood up for what's right. That one small choice didn't just turn her life around. It helped him grow too. That night, Jennifer was getting ready for her evening class at the community college. Just a few weeks later, she landed a scholarship for the nutrition degree she'd dropped years ago. With Tyler staying at Aunt Sarah's next door, she dove into her studies 3 days a week. "Mom, will you own a restaurant one day?" Tyler asked. Jennifer smiled. "Absolutely. I'm just taking the first step." She no longer felt ashamed of being a single mom. She wore it with pride. Since that day, she and her son grew even closer. Sometimes, her mind wandered back to that wedding. If Tyler hadn't spoken up that day, I might have still lost sight of my own worth, she realized. Life works in funny ways sometimes. The wedding that was supposed to shame her ended up changing everything for her and her son. "You ready?" she asked Tyler. They'd promised to catch his favorite movie after her class tonight. Tyler grinned and nodded. "Yeah, Mom. We're the best team." Jennifer softly ran her fingers through her son's hair. Their story wasn't an ending, it was a fresh start.